Hello and welcome to the chat room on CGTN. I'm Zoe. The chat room, the special online live show which offers people from different backgrounds and countries to share their experiences and stories in the new norm post-COVID-19. In addition from panel discussions, we also take questions from our followers and viewers on various social platforms, including CGTN app, the official website, CGTN official account on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Sina Weibo. So feel free to leave your comments and questions on those platforms. Well, today we're going to focus on gardening because now there are increasing number of people around the world who are showing great passion in planting flowers, vegetables, trees even. And even though the guests that are joining us today come from different backgrounds, countries, they all share one thing in common, which is they all have green thumb, or in some European countries, they call it green fingers. Well, I have neither. I'm so sorry. But the only thing or the best I can do is to choose a green dress. That's the only thing I have for today. But hopefully I can learn so much from, our guests today. Well, without further ado, let's just have our guests joining us today introduce them to all of you. Let's start from the ladies. How about start from the ladies? So Anna, please.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Anna Kuvian. I live in Montgomery County, Maryland, which is a suburb of Washington, D.C. It's about 8 a.m. here, and it's a beautiful fall day. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for starting our days so early. And also, let's go to Sijie. The tree in your backdrop looks very good. Did you plant it by yourself?
Yes, I have many indoor plants also.
Oh, that's amazing. Yes, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. Good morning and good evening, everyone. It's great to see so many friends here around the world online. My name is Wang Sijie. I work for American Chamber of Commerce in China. I am a government affairs professional, and in my daily work, I mainly deal with, relations with Chinese governments. But in my daily work, besides my daily work, I am also an amateur gardener. I am like Vin said, I am a fanatic about plants and flowers. So I'm just happy to share more in our later discussion.
That's great.
So thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to that. And also, Xiao, I heard because we have a mutual friend.
Hi from Beijing.
Hi. I know you just got married,
Hi.
right? Congratulations for that.
How did you know?
Yeah, I did my homework, okay?
I was thinking to myself I could make it to the last episode of Valentine's Day.
Okay. Yeah, tell us a little bit more about yourself as well.
Hi there from Beijing. I'm Lu Xiao. I'm a product manager from an e-learning company, and this year we are seeing a lot more workload because people are moving their education online. So that's me.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And now let's go to the gentleman, Lawrence. I heard we also have some mutual friends, and many of them say you have great taste for wine and food, but I didn't expect you to be such a good gardener. So, yeah, how about you?
Good morning, everyone. Live from just outside the outskirts of Washington, D.C. Yes, I do like food and I do like beverages, so I'm a food and wine critic. But also, at the same time, I'm a recreational gardener. I've always enjoyed this since I was young when I was boarding school where I was given a plot of land. And this time I actually invited Anna and Josh, who were my university classmates. So I'm also glad to see them online as well. So that's about me.
Okay, I'm not sure about other people, but Lawrence, for me, I can't really hear your audio. It's a little bit noisy. So let's see if you can make some adjustments so that we can have better signals during the live stream, throughout the live streaming. Okay, thank you. So George.
No problem.
Okay, thank you so much. George, you've been holding your camera outdoor for like 20 minutes. So how are you holding there? Are you okay?
I'm okay. It's a little bit cold up here in the Adirondacks. We have about 49 degrees this morning on Lake Champlain, and we are just going to start getting the sun over the barns. Let's see if I can see that. And that will warm me up at that point. But I'm out in our organic gardens and in our orchards, and I'm looking forward to sharing those with you.
That's great. That's great. So last but not least, we have Yu Chen. My colleague has been keeping telling me the name should be pronounced as Yu Chen, right? Not
You're very close, but everyone has
just very close.
difficulties
Not
with
still
that
not
name.
perfect, huh?
Yeah, well, but you're good enough.
I'll keep
yeah,
working.
so my name is Jochen Schaefer, and I live with Anna, and we shared a garden with Lawrence together, and we've been doing that now for a couple of years. And besides gardening, yeah, I'm a mechanical engineer working for an engineering company, focusing on sustainability in buildings, mostly energy efficiency, and so gardening kind of fits into the whole theme for me. And yeah, like you mentioned before, green thumb, I just really love doing it. It's a great hobby to have.
It is a great hobby to have indeed, and it feels so honored to have our distinguished guest joining us with such a diversified background. Some of our, like Johan, are architect. We have Anna as nurse. We have other people who are writer or PR, who specialize in PR relations. So it's such a diversified makeup of guests today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. How about let's start from George, since you're already outside, and as you said, it's very cold. We don't want you to be outside and be freezing for so long. So first of all, show us your garden. Tell us, what do you mainly plant? It is about flowers, about trees, about you just mentioned orchard, or is about vegetables. So yeah, tell us a little bit more.
All right, I will turn around and look north up into the orchard. You'll see some apples, and we have pears and peaches and plums and nectarines and cherries. That all grows up along there. You also see there are grapevines along there, lots of berries and fruit and asparagus down as we work our way into the garden. Ground cherries. These are eggplant down close to us in here next to the hose. Lots of tomatoes on the far side. If you look past those flowers, those are the tall stalks up there. Those are laden with tomatoes. So I'll get you some closer shots shorter.
Okay.
So we grow just about everything that we can.
Okay. Can we have like a closer shot of the tomatoes or other fruits that you have planted?
Yes. So let's look at some tomatoes. So these are kind of the prettiest ones when you have all those little cherry tomatoes.
These are very pretty. Did you save that for us just for this live streaming, so you didn't pick it up earlier?
No, our trouble is not, we have a lot of them, but the trouble is not us picking up, it's the animals, the raccoons and the crows and the deer love to come and eat them.
Yeah. But you want them to eat it a little bit, right?
And they'll come. Yeah, we don't mind if they eat it a little bit. The trouble is sometimes they eat so much that you'll come and every tomato will have one bite out of it, so that they keep choosing a new one. Here was some baby lettuce just starting to come up.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah.
And these are, this is Swiss chard over here. I don't know if that's something that people are familiar with. That's something that you cook. You see that beautiful stems and kale beyond that. That's called Nero de Toscana, which is a very dark kale. So that's a glimpse. That's a little bit of what we grow. Down here you have some eggplants. Let's see if we can get in there and see. Oh, and some peppers. Some black peppers from Russia. Purple eggplants.
Oh, this eggplants. Okay, now I see it. It's pretty much like the similar ones that we had here in China.
Aubergine.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
we have some. Here are the ones like you have in China. Let's see if we picked all of those here. Are these similar to the ones you have in China?
Yes, this is very similar.
Ones like that?
Right.
Yeah.
Our Chinese guests have been keep nodding, right? Xiao Xiao and
Yeah.
Sijie. Yeah, this is exactly what we ate here.
So you'll have to come and teach us how to cook it better.
You can or send it to us, right? We can just show you the video by eating it. Yeah, it's more fair that way.
I'm
Wow,
not
that's
sure
amazing.
how well that would work. So here's a very unusual thing that most people don't see are these long beans. Do you see those? They grow to be 15 or 18 inches long.
Wow.
And then you can saute them with garlic
Uh-huh.
and olive oil.
Yeah.
Here are some long ones. These are green ones, variety.
Mm-hmm.
And there's my AirPod falling out. That's a glimpse.
Wow, how big is your
asparagus.
garden? This is your garden, right? Outside your house, George?
Yes, this is how we feed all of our family and friends during the summertime. So we
Okay.
grow for many people.
Wow.
Because we're in the countryside, it's a little bit easier to have land. And so you see a baby asparagus coming in.
Oh, this is
So
asparagus,
we're able to
right?
grow for a lot of people. Yes, that's asparagus, and this is when it gets big. You grow it all the way up so it photosynthesizes. Our winters are very cold up here,
Uh-huh.
and so you have to do a lot of, you have to make the plants as strong as possible so
Right.
that they can make it through the winter. Wonder if you know what these are. Here's a good one.
What is this?
Hmm.
It's kind of berry.
This, yes. Anyone else on the show maybe know? It's
Yeah.
what we call
Anyone?
a ground cherry. It's similar to a tomatillo,
Oh.
but they're sweet.
Oh,
See the
yeah,
little
yeah, I
paper
know that.
wrapper
Yes,
around
we
that?
have here. Yeah, we have here in China, in the northeastern part of China, which is like in a really freezingly cold area.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
My father actually has those as well in his garden in Germany, and they're called anden berries. But ours are taller; they stand up maybe 2 or 3 feet.
Wow.
But they're
Yes.
very sweet and very tasty.
Yes.
We have those varieties that stand up and grow as well, and also regular tomatillos that you use in salsa, which is it's all in the same family as tomatoes.
Nice. I really start
And then up beyond is where
to feel hungry, like when you show us those vegetables and fruits. Right.
Yeah, these are, you know what that is?
This is strawberry, right?
Strawberry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one to eat too. Look at that one. It's perfect.
It is
Perfect.
perfect. Wow.
I have to eat that one.
How come I don't have friends like you who grow vegetables and, fruits by themselves? I'd be more than glad to share them if you can't finish, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It might be time to meet some new friends.
It is. Okay, thank you so much, George. Do you have more to show us, or this is
Sure.
pretty much about it?
No, I'll come back. I'll show you something next time. We have apples that are all ripening right now, but we'll let other people show us their beautiful gardens.
Okay, great. But thank you. You can stay inside a little bit, maybe somewhere warmer, not with your trees.
Okay, thank you. I'm
Okay,
okay. Hardy
thank you.
country people.
Thank you so much, George. So, Xiao Xiao and Sijie, you look really jealous of the garden when George was showing it, because we live in the city. I assume that both of you,
Yes.
right? Especially here in China, in big cities, the house prices are really, really expensive. So it might be so much, we're almost impossible to have for us to have a house and to have a garden to grow this. But I heard you, both of you, are big fans in gardening, right? So what kind of things do you plant? Is it flowers? Is it vegetables? And where do you even plant them? Xiao Xiao?
Sijie, would you care to go first?
Sure. Yes, I actually my parents bought a terrace house back in 2007, and it comes with a nice little garden. And then I kind of started to grow different kind of flowers. And unfortunately, I am not very good at grow vegetables, but I am kind of good at grow flowers. I have around 42 roses, 20 hydrangeas, and 7 clematis, and maybe around 20 to 30, because I never count, perennial plants.
Wow.
So it's all of different kinds of flowers. It's mainly flowers, actually.
So it's like you're living in this flower garden, like rose garden, if you may, right? And if you want
Yes,
to,
kind of.
wow, that's amazing. How about you, Xiao Xiao?
I'm probably the only one that don't have a garden here in this group.
Just like all of us
for
here.
me, the real estate is sky high in Beijing, and when we bought our house here, it's the gardening will not be a priority. So I have now a grilled window, and underneath it, a triangular slot. And this slot, for this slot, I bribed the property management staff because with 2 boxes of peaches, and they let me plant there, and they were actually very happy because I was kind of doing their work. So
It must
for
be
me,
you.
it's
It must be
mainly
you have
flowers.
done a fantastic work. So like those people let you, like grow those plants. I don't know, in like a public area, right? So what kind of plants do you do? I heard it's mainly cactus, right? Or
Yes, cactus and a lot of perennials. Would you
Oh.
like me to show them?
Yeah, of course. Yes, please. Thank you. I want to see them.
Okay, I'll do share screen now.
Mhm.
Can you see my share screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
This is my grilled window, and this is the triangular slot I was talking about. And this is my petunia and my clematis growing out
Wow.
of the grilled window. And this is my sunflowers, lilies, hydrangeas, endless summer. And this year I bought a wisteria and a dogwood Cherokee brave, and that was very brave of me because I don't have much room, and when they grow big and they are such voluminous plants, and in 2 years I'll have to think about it, but I wasn't thinking when I bought them. So
Uh-huh.
and this is a rose, climbing rose called parasol.
I don't know. You're the
my
boss.
lilies
To me, they're
and,
all flowers.
It's a kind of
This is-
French rose, right?
Oh.
It's very lovely.
Yes, it's no, I don't think it's French. It's kind of
Oh.
Japanese rose. It's a
Oh,
Japanese
okay.
hybrid, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how I look out of the window. And every weekend, I would wake up to the compliments outside of the window because there are not so many flowers in our neighborhood. And I was joking one day. I was saying that I would definitely set up a record one day and live with the compliments for the rest of my life. And and there's also a lot of education going on because there will be parents and grandparents telling their kids not to pinch my flowers because they don't
Oh.
look like weed. They are supposed to be owned by somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And there are also the naming game because but I wouldn't bother to crack them because for them all the purple flowers are violets and all the yellow flowers are chrysanthemum and all the
Right.
red flowers are roses. So that's
Oh.
kind of fun to listen to, but I wouldn't bother to crack them.
It must be feels.
This is my clematis bijo.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
You must feel so
this is my
lucky.
clematis bijo again.
Wow, this is pretty. Do you feel so lucky every day when you, I don't know, like when you wake up and when you take a look outside your window and see so many beautiful flowers of different colors? It must be like some refreshment to your life, right?
Definitely. We were working from home from February to May, and I get to spend more time with my so-called garden. It's not actually garden, but so it will be a refreshment, a daily refreshment.
It
And this
is.
is my alum from the triangular slot in springtime.
Wow. These are
And
amazing.
this is the reticulated iris blue note. I learned it from the BBC Gardener's World for Monty Don, the host, our beloved host. And this is the grape hyacinth. I have difficulty pronouncing Latin names. And this is it's a variety called Cupido. This is the daffodil, bridal crown. I thought I was planting it for my wedding, but it wasn't. And this is the flower parade. This is a variety called Dancing Queen. It looks like a Wagyu beef to me. This is also here are my cactus. Cactus are my favorite, and this is one variety Lobivia called damask rose. It's Thailand. It's from Thailand. It's a hybrid.
And the flower we're saying is
this
actually
is my
growing
favorite.
from cactus. Is that right?
Yes.
Wow. Oh my goodness. People like me can hardly
This
even keep
is a
cactus alive. And now you can even grow flowers out of cactus. That's really amazing.
You know that all cactus give out flowers, but just some take more time. Yeah. This is a hybrid called First Light. It's my favorite. And it gave out a twin flower last year, and it's absolutely stunning.
It is stunning.
I don't know the name of this one, but I would call it bridal bouquet because I would like to carry it in my wedding, but that would be way out of line. This is a hybrid called Spellbound. This is June noon, and in the background is the green eye. It looks like the great eye from the Lord of the Ring. And this fascination. This is a variety called Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty.
And this
okay.
is yeah.
This is Golden
And
Star,
this
right?
is hard. Yes.
I saw the Chinese label
but this
on it.
Has yes, it's nicknamed as Venus in China, but its actual
Venus.
name is Mammillaria longimama. Yes, that's its name.
It's hard.
And that's about my garden.
Oh, wow. You don't actually have a garden, but you're like planting something in this public area, but it's making such a great, good-looking, amazing garden.
We're joking that we have a 4-dimensional way of looking at garden because we have to find our room and find our space to fit all the varieties that we like into our limited space. So
yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Xiaoxiao, for sharing with us. And now, now you can exit the share. Okay, great. We can take a look at other gardens. It seems our guests today can't just wait because now I don't see people. Some of them, I just see the gardens, right? Lawrence and Anna and Yuhan. Okay, it just kept reminding me that we are now doing a special live streaming focusing on gardening. So Anna and Yuhan, I know Yuhan, you're actually from you're from Germany, and I know your family has a long history in gardening. And Anna picked up this habit to some degree because of you or because of a visit to Germany, right? So tell us a little bit more about how you guys started gardening and how is the plants going right now. Sorry, you were still now
Johan,
muted.
you're on mute.
Yeah, you need to turn on your
yeah.
audio. Okay, now it's good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the reminder. Yeah, my dad was born on a farm in Germany. And so that's where my roots basically are. And my family has gone back farming a couple of centuries. And but then really into gardening was when what is quite common in Germany to have a separate plot just for gardening. You have a little house there, 1-room shed, basically the way you spend your weekends. And that's how I got into gardening. And then when Anna visited us, but I let her tell the story how she got into it. But the funny thing is that growing up, I was never really into gardening with my dad in the garden plot. And I kind of started with indoor plants first. Nothing as beautiful as the two from the two ladies in China. That's really, it was amazing. And the pictures are amazing too. So what you make out of that little plot is really amazing. Yeah, so I started with the indoor plants, and then once we found our little plot here in the US, that's when we got into the vegetable growing.
Yeah,
and I let Anna talk about her exposure to gardening.
Yes, Anna.
Yes, good morning, everybody.
Good morning to you.
Good morning. Yes. So on a visit to Jochen in Germany, we spent some time in his father's community garden, and I was just taken away by what could be done with a small plot of land. And then coming back to the States, so as you can see here, I live in a townhouse community. It's called an HOA or homeowners association. So aside from not having much land, there are regulations which do not permit homeowners to, let's say, grow a vegetable garden here in what you'll see is my little plot of land. If I were allowed to, I would be able to actually sustain myself on the land that you see here. So what we did is we worked around the rules and we went upwards onto my front porch here. And we have a lot of herbs that we're growing in planters. This is called sorrel. It's not so much an herb, but like a leafy green. It can be used in soups and salads, and it's tangy. So it tastes a little bit like lemon.
Oh, cool.
And here we have basil. This is seasonal, so it's coming to the end.
The basil is huge in your
short.
garden. It's like a small tree. I didn't even recognize it at first sight.
Yeah, it grew upwards because I neglected it. I didn't prune it through the season to make it grow more into a bush. But either way, it still tastes the same. And
yeah, exactly.
Then, we like to incorporate flowers, which helps bring in, the pollinators like the bees and the butterflies.
Okay.
And then over here we have green onions. And over here we have parsley.
Green onion. Oh, I love parsley. Yes.
Yeah, the parsley is really tasty in nearly every dish you can add it to. Down here we have wild garden or garlic chives. This is one of Lawrence's favorites. Panning out this way, I have some sage. And in the distance there, all those white things, those are also garlic chives. So this is what we're able to do here in my little HOA townhouse community. In the garden that we share with Lawrence, so we rent a small plot, which is about
your water well. Hannah.
Sure.
How you collect the water?
Lars?
Sure. So Jochen and I...
sorry, yes, Anna, please continue.
Sure. So aside from having a green thumb, Jochen and I are environmentally conscious, and we try to do most that we can to help the environment. So what you'll see here on the corner of my house is what Lawrence was referring to as a water reservoir, and it collects the rainwater. It's full right now. So we use this to water the garden and our indoor plants.
Okay. Wow. This is very, as you said, environmentally
so here,
friendly.
as you can see, the water comes out from the spout. We just fill it up into a water container. And this is especially helpful because beyond the house is a watershed. And there's a slope here. And when it rains really hard, there's a lot of erosion. So by collecting the water here in the water tank, it helps the watershed back there. The watershed feeds into the Chesapeake Bay. So, everybody's encouraged to collect as much rain runoff as possible in order to preserve the health of the Chesapeake Bay.
You talk like an
we
architect.
also don't use any...
So did Yuhan told you that?
Sure.
Maybe he designed that, right? It sounds very, very professional to me. Those designs, the waterfall, the road.
Oh, the water reservoir. Actually, the city of Rockville promotes this. They give you $100 towards the purchase and installation of a water reservoir. So mine cost, I think it was $150, and it paid itself off very quickly. I don't know if you can see on the top of our house and my neighbor's house, we have solar panels.
Yes. Wow, that's nice. It's great. It's great. This is kind of very popular among people in the suburb of DC, right? To have little garden, plant some flowers. Maybe not as well as you, but they like to plant some flowers, vegetables, and some herbs, right? So let's ask Philip. Sorry. So Philip, how about people in Europe? Hello there. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you.
You're outside and with your backpack.
Yes.
What's
I
in
am
that?
talking to
All the
you
apples
from a
you just
very,
picked?
very special. These are roses.
Roses.
And I'm talking to you, from a very special place, because this is an urban garden, and it's a urban garden inside a park. And as you can see, that is the politicians' building of Rome, and they wanted to erase this park and have new buildings here. And 3 years ago, the citizens have made a fight to have their own garden here inside. As you can see, we have a lot of trees. We have, let me turn off the camera.
Yes.
We have olive trees here. Then we have fruit trees. Let's have a look. Unfortunately, I can't go inside because of the COVID restriction. So we have to, each of us have a specific week when he can enter. We have all the trees here. Olive trees are perfect for this condition, meteo condition. Here it's very, very hot today. And as you can see from here, we have urban garden. Each of us has their own garden. We plant vegetables. I have tomatoes, cucumber, and salad. And I have this garden with my best friend, which lives over there in that terrace. which is a chef, and he works in a 2 Michelin restaurant in Rome.
Wow.
So it's a very special place, because it's Rome, as you know, maybe not as far as Beijing, but it's a dense city with huge building, and this area has not green spaces. So it was a really good, really tense fight against the private sector and politicians.
Yeah, and this is like a public area, and what you do is you rent like a spot of it.
Yes.
Is that correct? How is it
course.
expensive?
Not too much, because we have just to take care of the place. So we put just the payment of water, irrigation, and it's like 25 euros per month. But the only thing we have to do is take care of the place. Otherwise, we would come back to the condition that there were before. And new politicians maybe wanted to build new buildings here.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, thank you so much, Philip. Thank
Yes.
you. That's a great sharing. Okay, let's now go back to our guest. Let's see who's ready. Okay, Johan. It seems you're shooting from a different perspective. It seems you're on a higher floor, right? Shooting down on the
Yes.
terrace. So this area
that's
is not the
shooting down
same
on-
area where Anna just introduced. It's another area in your house that you plant some other stuff, right?
Yeah, that's the back of the house, and I was in the front of the building, and now we're looking into the back, and that's the wooden area, and it's hard to see, but the watershed is right where you beyond the deck that we look at, and so that's the backyard. In the morning, it's a little bit shady, but so what I wanted to point out was starting from seeds that Anna is showing right now, we put them in little pods, mostly in the February, March time of the season, at the beginning of the season, so that the little plants start growing, and then we put them out into our plots, and we do the same now in the fall. Because some of the plants, like the basil or kale, are coming to an end, but we want to have them also through the fall, winter time, and ideally, maybe if it's not too cold of a winter, some of those also survived it actually for the springtime. And so those were the little plants that we have on the deck, and then obviously flowers, because they're pretty to look at, they're nice to look at, and they're good for pollination.
Wow, that's lots of
And,
seeds that you have bought.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a collection over a couple of years. So it's some of the seeds we harvest from the fruit, from the plants that we, like those little peppers. So we cut them up and save the seeds for next year when we like them a lot, or we purchase new ones just to try something different in the next season.
Yeah. This is amazing.
Yeah. And something completely different. We talked a lot about the plants, flowers, and vegetables. We also started for the last 1 or 2 years actually to look for trees. So whenever there are a lot of trees around, and so we see little saplings, little trees starting to grow, and instead of ripping them out, I actually started to nurture them a little bit better, a little bit more, so that over time, and it takes years. I mean, that's a long project. So this one started maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and Anna's mom actually gave that to us, so that over time, when all the trees die and we have to take them down, we can actually put new ones in. Because it provides a lot of shade, and it's cleaning the air. And the one thing I really always liked about the US here and the buildings is that there are lots of trees, even though you're so close to capital cities, and to preserve that greenness in the area.
And those are the fruits from what you have planted, right? Tomatoes, zucchinis, what else? Garlic. Is that garlic?
Yes. So, we grew garlic.
Wow.
We have a yellow squash, variety of tomatoes, peppers, tomatillos.
Even for tomatoes.
This is a bowl full of tomatillos.
Oh, wow.
And you make this tomatilla or green salsa from that.
And
I want to see
apples.
what you do with your veggies.
And then since, we don't have much land, we do support the local farmers. So what you see here is the first batch of Honeycrisp apples from a local farm in Winchester, Virginia. Absolutely delicious. And then this is the last batch of peaches for the season in our area.
Uh-huh. It seems you don't need to go to the grocery store to buy fruits and vegetables. You can just all get it from your garden, right? It's like freshly served from your garden to your table, right?
We try to do that. Yeah. For example, this is an omelet from this morning made with local green onions from the front yard, some cherry tomatoes from our community garden. We try to incorporate something from the garden into each meal.
It looks brilliant. I really wanted to have a bite of that. Okay, let's see. Lawrence, how are you right now? So Anna and Johan just shared with us the fruits, and also the dishes that they have been cooking, and also the different kind of plants that have been producing. What about you? I know you have really high standard for the food that you eat, right? Is that the very reason that motivate you to start your interest in gardening?
Yeah, how's my audio? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but still not very clearly. Let's try. Just keep talking. Let's try if it's better. Maybe without too many movements.
Is this better?
Yeah, it's okay. Please continue. Let's see.
Oh, yeah, because I was in Chile a couple of years ago, and someone took me foraging. So I actually have a keen interest in foraging now. And during COVID-19, I actually thought about, hey, if I come to the garden, apart from all the stuff that I grow, and Anna go together, I forage. So actually, I've learned from foraging that I don't know what you can see. This is actually called puslane, and it's a wild weed. And I actually have been foraging wild weed, and then I don't know if you can see from here that it is actually chives that I can grow with, and then make it into dumplings, Chinese dumplings. And then I actually have a eggplant here. How's my audio? Okay for you?
Okay, I'm sorry, Lawrence. I'm afraid we have to stop here because still we can't hear you very clearly. I don't know whether other of our guests, but let's see if maybe you can try a different location or a different connection. I'm so sorry. Okay. Okay, I'm so sorry. So, Sijie, just now you have saying
we Lawrence was talking about was actually a very delicious dish in China.
Which one was that?
Purslane we call 麻齿苋 here. 麻齿苋.
Oh, okay.
It's actually an edible. The weed is edible. If I can get the message through to Lawrence, you can pick it up and make a dish out of it, and it's delicious. Try it.
Yes, I love 麻齿
Lawrence
苋.
actually.
I make it into a salad, so that's actually very interesting. And then I use chives for dumpling and
Make some dumpling. Now I think like Lawrence, you have some soulmates in here, even though we can't hear you quite clearly, but we are trying to pick up some keywords from your conversation. And just like Xiao, using her knowledge base of gardening and also other kinds of vegetables and plants to connect the dots. But yes, Xiao, I think Lawrence was introduced to us this thing. In Chinese, it's called 麻齿苋. I'm so sorry. I didn't even know what's that called in English, right? And that's something we made in cold dishes. I don't know. Okay, now.
Yeah, here in the States, or at least in our organic garden, many of the gardeners didn't know what it was, and we looked into it, and sure enough, as you all have stated already, it's edible.
Yeah.
So we, encourage people not to remove it, since they think it's a weed, and it's actually quite healthy for you.
It is quite healthy.
It is actually quite invasive as well, though. So you do want to keep control of it because it does spread and will take over as a ground cover in a lot of environments.
Okay.
All you need is
so you just have to eat a lot.
He Lawrence will take it all out for you and he'll eat it.
Yeah, if he has more, he can also send it to China. We can also consume it in here, right? We can help you, Lawrence.
Exactly.
You're most welcome. Well, Sijie, just now you saw our guest from the States and also Europe sharing his or her gardening and also fruits with all of us. So what part do you are most impressed of? Because you have mainly plant flowers or roses, as you said. So are you interested in maybe in the near future to make some planting of those vegetables and fruits?
Well, actually, I will try, but flowers and especially roses and still my favorite. So I only have this portion of little garden, so I'm not sure whether I'm going to explore more land to grow more vegetables. However, I do have I have successfully grown some sweet potatoes. Actually, that was done by my husband. So I can actually show some pictures here.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, let me try. Can you see it?
Yes, now we can see it.
I'm trying to. Yeah, this is the sweet potatoes we grew last year. And so you can see
enlarge
how
it? Can
big.
you enlarge it for us? Because now it's really small, the photo. Can you enlarge the photo for us? Thank you.
Oh, sure.
Double click.
Is it better?
Not for me. I don't know for other people.
We're seeing the document.
Yeah.
We're seeing the documents, not the
let me
specific
see.
photo. Maybe just double click it and see if it works.
Okay. I think
Sometimes
Do
if
you
you
see it?
stop screen sharing and then restart, it will help.
Okay. Let me try again. Okay.
Okay.
Can you guys see it now?
Let's
Yes.
see
Yes.
if it works. Okay,
Perfect.
now it's great. Those are huge
Wow.
Great.
sweet potatoes.
That is
Yeah.
impressive.
Wow, and it's a
So
lot.
let me see another one. Yeah, it is a lot. I'm not sure if we could have this amount of sweet potatoes this year because we changed the location of the sweet potatoes.
Well, here's the thing. We'll send you the purslane and you can send the sweet potatoes this way.
And both of you can send whatever you have to me. Right? We can help each other.
Do you have any
Sounds-
pictures of the
That's
greens
quite a
from
deal,
the
the
sweet
wheat.
potato? Do you have any
Sorry?
pictures of the plant part on top of the sweet potato? Do you have any pictures of
Oh,
the
flowers?
sure.
beautiful
Yeah.
greens?
Yeah.
Yes. Let me try again.
In fact, we often use sweet potatoes as ornamental gardening because the greens are so attractive. They are good ground cover. They have a very unique color of green that offsets other things quite nicely, other flowers.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
good.
I'll
know.
have to cut in here because the sweet potato leaves are also edible here in Beijing.
Yes, yes, they are.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Let
got
me
so
try.
excited when you talk about food.
I'll have my vegetable garden if I had the space, but I didn't.
Okay.
Can you see it? This is like a landscape view of my little garden, and this is in the springtime.
Back to seeing your documents.
Can you?
Yes.
Oh,
I had the
Stu?
same problem.
Right, let's try it again.
Sorry
no
about
worries.
that. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, now it's good.
Yeah,
It's a
this
huge.
is-
Wow, this is a huge
This is
garden.
actually in the spring.
This is your
Yeah,
garden.
it
Sijie?
is not small, but yeah, this is our garden. This is in the springtime, and this where you can see it's the kind of summertime. You can start see the colors is coming up, and this is my mom, walking in the garden, and this is actually
Can
in
I
the
volunteer for
summertime.
your garden?
Oh, that's you. You're
Oh, what a
so
beautiful
good.
garden.
Yes.
Sure. More
Wow.
than welcome. This is actually the midsummer. And you can see all the greens, salvia, and roses and different kind of, and this is actually the autumn time when it comes to fall, and you have to prune everything to make sure they can survive over the winter. So this is actually the winter time.
Wow.
So here I want to show, you can see the transformation, the changes over times. So that's, I think, just very attractive to me, and you can actually be part of it. So let me try to see if I can share some of my flowers. So let me see.
There's one silver lining about Beijing is that roses are enjoying themselves there.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Rose is actually the city flower of Beijing.
Oh,
So you can see roses. It's relatively speaking easier to grow in Beijing. It's more
Why
difficult.
is that because of the climate?
I think it's climate.
Wow.
Because it's very sunny. It enjoys a lot of sunshine. It's kind of dry. It's not wet. Yeah, this is chrysanthemum in the fall time.
wow.
So I try to, have a mix of different colors. And this is peony. It's one of my favorite too.
Wow.
Me
It's
too.
very
I love
huge.
peony
it's like
too.
this big.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah.
And they can bloom.
It's
They just
really
overnight. It's like suddenly they just bloom, right? It's like grows so huge.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, exactly. But they last shorter. It's only like 1 or 2 weeks time.
Right.
So it's another roses, and I have different kind of roses, from Chinese roses, German roses, and French roses.
Oh, peony.
So just they're just brilliant, amazing.
Wow.
This is actually a cherry tree. I have a cherry tree in my little garden.
You even have a cherry tree in your garden? Oh, you're so lucky.
Yeah, I have one cherry tree.
But does it produce cherries after it's blossom, or it just produces flowers? No.
No,
Okay.
it's Japanese cherry.
Okay.
Okay.
Just flowers.
You can't eat.
Ornamental
Just
cherry.
flowers.
Yeah.
Then
This is hydrangeas. Yeah, or different kind of hydrangeas. Yeah.
Definitive.
Yeah.
Very pretty.
Different colors and clematis.
That's blue storm.
Flowers, especially in the outside garden, just attract the bees and the butterflies for pollination. So
And the hummingbirds.
So who can help me
I think
translate?
Lauren's talking
Lauren?
about wild
Yes. Xiao
wild
Xiao.
animals in the garden. Yeah.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
I was trying to do the translation.
Lawrence, you're so lucky. We can't quite hear you, but you have like so many helpers in here, and Xiao Xiao can understand like 80-90% of you. You guys are soulmate, right?
Yeah, soulmate, definitely.
Definitely.
It's important that I have spokespeople so that they can speak for me.
Xiao Xiao, what's that? I'm so sorry.
I lost it.
I'm sorry, Lawrence. Okay, this time we all felt you. I'm so sorry. Let's try. Maybe you can try from a different location, different signal. Let's try if it's get better. Okay, and let's get back to George. Because George, are you still there? Are you freezing out there? I'm so sorry for the wait.
No, I'm not freezing.
Okay, because
That's
you get
okay.
used to the
sun is
coldness.
coming up.
Oh, okay. So what more do you have to
I was
show
just
us?
thinking about the conversation about wild creatures, and we just had a hummingbird in the garden. I was trying to catch, but they're very quick. And then I thought, the nice thing about wild animals is when they help you pollinate. The other problem is sometimes you have a beautiful melon like this that you're ready to pick, and you reach down to get this lovely melon, and you think, oh, this is perfect. You lift it up, and the wild animals have gotten there before you.
Oh no!
So that's the.
Oh no!
That's
That's
so
so
we
funny.
have. It's supposed to look more like like these over here. That's what it should look like.
Yeah.
But sometimes you pick up a melon and the inside is absolutely gone because the raccoons or the squirrels or the rabbits have gotten there
Right.
before you.
So it's like you're doing gardening / charity at the same time. So it's like charity to those animals, right? Just
Yes.
feed them
Sort
voluntarily.
of is. I think Anna was talking before about a sort of a sustainable and environmentally sustainable approach to gardening, and we actually like to think of it as even more than sustainable. It's reciprocity, that we're feeding them so that they'll feed us. And we have aggressive predators in our environment like coyotes and like bobcats, and they sort of help move all of that. If you allow them to, if you have porosity in your garden, they will help you keep the smaller pests out. But those smaller pests also all have a role to play. So we try to plant enough for everybody, including all of our wild friends. And when these guys fall, like an apple comes off of the tree, by the next time I come out here this afternoon, that will be gone. It'll probably be in the belly of a deer. But fortunately, there are a lot more up on the tree waiting.
But that's the fun for gardening to some
delicious.
degrees, right? It's just different perspective of the fun that we're saying.
Right. I think that most of us are understanding that the healthier we can make the overall ecosystem, the better we eat, the better they eat, the fewer problems we all have, and it certainly becomes a lot more beautiful world, as we've seen from all of your guests this morning.
Yeah, exactly.
So on that
Here
note,
I am in Beijing, congratulating myself for seeing a hedgehog.
Wow.
A single hedgehog, happy for a whole day.
well, a single hedgehog can destroy the garden in our area. George, on the note of living, better with the environment, why don't you show the compost? And how we can decrease landfill at the same time.
This is our compost here. We actually, after we eat, we put our compost here in the garden so they decompose, and then afterwards, for next year we can use this compost for our soil as well.
Okay, so what Lawrence is saying is we're talking about composting. So in the same vein as like collecting rainwater and preventing it from going into the Chesapeake Bay, a lot of us collect kitchen waste from the garden. So if you can see my screen, I have a bowl on my kitchen counter where we collect vegetable scraps, which will then end up in the garden compost, and over time will become soil. And if you go to George's screen, he has a magnificent compost system in his garden.
I have one similar to what Anna's showing you now that's over on the other side of the garden. But what I'm showing now are these big bins. And what we do at the end of the season, we use one like Anna where we're putting all of the food in there to rot it down. And then in the spring, we take these bins, these are big boxes with no bottom. And we fill that with compost about 2/3 of the way up, and then soil on the top. And as you can see, we plant succession planting all season long. So you have greens, you have actually tiny little new plants coming in over here. I don't know if you can see. And that is feeding off of all of that compost, but it's also continuing to accelerate the decomposition of the compost. And in the autumn, in a couple of months, we will lift those up and spread all of that compost into the garden so that we never have to use fertilizers, commercial fertilizers. We're just using what we had in the garden and on the lawns last year. We also pick up all of our grass seed, all of our grass clippings and all of our leaves, and compost that as well. All the fruit that any of it that doesn't last goes in there. Right. You see also all of our mulching. These are blueberries, and blueberries require a good acidic soil. So if you look closely, you can see that the soil is actually, the dirt is actually well down under there. And we take pine needles from the trees in the back, and that is actually composting down season after season. We fill that up with new pine needles that acidify the soil as they prevent the weeds from growing, and they help the soil recover and rest. And if you look into the garden, see if I can get an angle here. Between all of the rows, we alternate where we plant every year, and we bury what would be the walkways basically between the plants, so it prevents the weeds from coming in, and that it all rots down. So we'll compost all of that mulch into the ground as well. We have very clay-based soil in this area, so the more organic matter we can get down into the soil, the better we can deal with the clay.
Right.
I have one other thing I was just thinking of, Anna, when you're talking a moment ago. We do something that's a little bit unusual in the fruit trees. If you look at the trunks, one of the problems we have up here for pests with fruit trees is tent caterpillars. They come and make gypsy moths. They come and eat the leaves off of the tree. So if you look closely there, do you see there's a wrap around the tree?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's actually a natural way of preventing. Rather, a lot of people would spray the trees with a toxic product
Right.
to keep them off, and instead we wrap them with this 2 or 3 times a season. That has a very thick beeswax on it, so the feet get stuck in that of the little caterpillars as they climb up the trees, and it prevents them from eating the leaves. And then we do some spraying on our trees, but again, it's all non-toxic. We use something called kaolin clay, which is a very, very fine pulverized clay that is not a chemical, but is an irritant to a lot of the pests for fruit trees. And we do spot spray with neem oil, which is again a natural product, but is sort of a natural pesticide in some cases. But in all of these cases, everything that you see, you can eat. I mean, we throughout our lawn in the spring, we would have dandelions everywhere. And we harvest all of the dandelions. Lawrence was talking about foraging, and dandelion greens are wonderful to eat. And they're one of the early high vitamin C forage crops in the spring. But if you use pesticide on your lawn, you obviously can't eat them. And in this case, we can harvest them for about the first three months of the season.
So you're doing
Yeah,
this.
we also an organic garden.
This
We
is
don't use any pesticides as well, just like forage. I know that it's safe forage without any pesticides.
Lawrence. Sorry, we still can't really hear you.
Yeah,
But
but he basically also mentioned that the garden that we work in is also an organic garden, so we don't use any pesticides, just what
right.
George was explaining. And that makes all the fruit really a lot more healthier. And,
Exactly.
And the nice thing is really taking it from the plant and eating it directly. That's just so much tastier than if you buy it in the store when they're picked, when they're half ripe only.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think you also talked before, Johan, or maybe it was Anna, about the fact that you're a part of an active watershed. And if your water is flowing through your gardening and you're using pesticides or chemicals, or frankly, even seeds that have been treated with those, a certain amount of that is going to make it into your watershed. And a lot of that's not being scrubbed out when we process water. So it's making it right back into our bodies. So it's actually, I think we're only beginning to really understand this within our sort of smaller communities, how we're actually little bitty steps that we can take to make sure that we're much healthier and fortify our immune systems. We practice in general what we call holistic gardening, which is the idea not only that you're fully organic, but that you're actually trying to treat just sort of like your own immune system that you're trying to fortify so that you can help keep your body healthy.
Right.
Within a garden, the stronger and more robust that stock, the more likely it is to overcome the pests, frankly, all by itself.
Okay, thank you so much for the explanation, George. While Lawrence, we can't really hear you, but we can see what you have been showing us. So I saw the fig, right? It's actually one of my favorite fruits. That's great. Yes. And it looks like it's almost ripe now. Yes. Great. So before we wrap up today, there's another question that I really want to ask you, because when we do the research for this episode online, so many people say this pandemic has turned so many people into gardeners. But for you, I know that you have become very experienced gardeners, or people who show great passion for gardening for a long time. But I still want to know, so during this pandemic, what has been changed? Or do you have any new understanding or new thoughts about gardening? So what has this hobby, or I don't know, a way of killing your time that have really changed or bring to your life during the pandemic?
That's a great. Yeah, if I may, this is Anna. We didn't just get into gardening. So during the pandemic, I have to say that the gardening has been a refuge. It's been a wonderful way to practice safe outdoor activities. You're not usually within 6 feet of other people. You're outside in the sunshine, breathing fresh air. You're with nature. It really makes you feel that you're not confined to your home during this quarantine. So it is a psychological break from all the public health measures that we all are practicing on a daily basis. But what is new for me is the through friends and family, they are more interested now in gardening. And so we are sharing our experience with them. We are sharing, the harvest from the garden. We're teaching them about seeds, how to plant seedlings, what time of year to start gardening. Many people decided in March that they wanted to become gardeners. And here in Maryland, everybody went out and bought seed. Like seeds just were out of stock. Now that didn't affect us because we know in our zone, we have to start in January, actually. So many people came to us and were like, how do we start a garden where there are no seeds available? And we said, well, we've got plenty of seeds we'll share with you, but you're a little bit late, but let's get going on this. So people are beginning to, I think this is a welcomed introduction into what could be considered a new hobby or way of life for many people. And hopefully this will be the silver lining that comes out of this pandemic.
Yeah, the silver lining.
And
That's
then I
well
would
said.
meet in the garden. And then I would meet in the garden with me because that's the only way we can do social distancing.
Lawrence, now it's getting worse. We can't hear you at all.
Yes.
Maybe even your best translator.
I
Sorry.
have
Yes, George.
I have a pandemic question for Filippo and Lu Xiao. I was interested, I mean, we also had some of that experience that Anna's talking about. For example, we would normally have 18 artichoke plants, and we literally couldn't get the artichoke plants in this year because of the pandemic, because everybody started gardening. But there are also many wonderful things, and I think Anna touched on one, that's all of these new people that are coming to gardening. And I'm wondering with Lu Xiao and Filippo, who have these very public spaces, it would seem like that would have given even more opportunity to introduce new people to the sort of the magic of the gardening cycle. And I wonder for any of you who've had those sort of public experiences, what that's been like during the pandemic.
Yes, actually we had 2 weeks of stop, so no one could enter in the public garden. But after 3 or 4 days, we managed that one guy could take care of all the plants inside the garden. But during the pandemic here, it was not very winter, but not summer. So fortunately, our plants not needed a lot of water. So it was a bit easier to manage the situation.
Okay.
Do you invite people into the garden so that they can learn about it when they just happen to be walking by?
Not during the pandemic, we had a strong
very strict
they
rules
closed
of distancing,
here.
right?
Yes,
right.
But now we have a new starting with the educational system. So we have kids which starts to come inside again our garden and learn how to grow their own food.
Neat, wonderful.
Xiao, yeah. Do you have an answer to that question that had been just raised by George?
Yes, for me, during the pandemic, I was working from home from February to May. And that's when I realized that there are more compliments I received daily. And as I was working in my triangular slot, that's a very small slot. And a lot of people come by and ask me about what are you planting? And I would explain to them. And I think that's a good way of exchange the knowledge of planting with them. But there's still a long way to go because in China, horticulture is not actually very prevalent, and in this pandemic era, I think I'm seeing a lot more people taking up gardening, and that's a good sign for me.
Okay, so before we wrap up, let's take a look at what questions or comments have been left by our followers on various social platforms. Let's take a look at the big screen to see, I think, maybe one of the questions that's been selected by my colleague is from Sina Weibo. So it's, what advice do you have for people who can't keep any plants alive? Oh my goodness, this is exactly what I want to ask, because it's so hard. Even cactus, Vanessa, is so hard, let alone like growing flowers out of the cactus. So let's ask Sijie. You've been smiling, I see. So do you have any tips for people who can hardly make ourselves alive to maybe have a new hobby or new interest of possibly raising a plant and make them alive?
It is a difficult and simple question. I would say I would recommend people who want to start this new habit, just to first go to your green fingers around you, go to your colleagues, go to your friends who really like gardening, who really like grow plants, and just ask for their practical advice. And then you could turn to interesting TV shows, just like Xiao just mentioned, the Monty Dunk's Gardener's World, and just kind of started a new world for you. And then you can start by reading more books, for example, like gardening books, professional books, to have more advice from professional experts. I think that will help. But I mean, there's never an easy answer for your question. How can we help? I think it just gives some patience, gives some love, and your interest will be your best teacher. So.
Okay. Wow, it's very well said. Patience
If I may,
and love. Yes, please, Anna.
Yeah, if you don't have a green thumb or you don't have access to friends with green fingers, you can always support your local farmers markets and buy organic food. You can, if you're taking care of your property, you can avoid fertilizers, herbicides, any of these chemicals that would run off into a watershed or would harm the environment and the animals that live with us.
I would throw in one little addition, Anna, which is that there also is a little bit of kitchen gardening. Most of us can fit just a couple of pots next to your sink and a window, and you can grow some basil or some chives. You can always grow some sprouts under your sink, and you can have some fresh green things, and that'll kind of get you started. And it'll make you realize how fun it is to be able to harvest something 2 minutes before you eat it. And it'll get you a little more curious and a little more willing to leap into the adventure.
Absolutely.
Yes, I would
once you
say
grow your own basil, and once you're growing your own herbs and you taste how fresh they are and how incredibly easy they are to grow, you will not spend $5 to $7 at the grocery store for week-old herbs. I guarantee.
With pesticides on them.
Exactly.
I would say start with something you really like to eat.
Right.
If you, yes.
That's a good tip.
I like to eat like fig, but it is so hard to grow, right? So, Xiao, let's just say final question. If you could recommend one plant to this follower who just raised this question, something that's very easy, or at least not very hard to grow, something that could give people like me some hope and confidence to keep them alive, please. So what will that be? Is it cactus, or is there any other plants you think that you would recommend to us?
Cactus are such carefree plants, but they would suffer from overwatering. And for beginners, overwatering is a very big problem. So I wouldn't recommend cactus, but I would recommend mint. It's an herb, and it's easy to grow, and it's hard to die.
That's right. Hard to kill.
Very low standard, hard to die. Yes, that's very important too.
So I have a picture of mint. If you want to take a look at it, this is peppermint and spearmint, and we hardly tend to it. It kind of grows on its own. And we do keep it in containers because it's an invasive and it will spread and take over the whole garden.
Okay. Yes. While Anna is showing those strong mints, Lawrence is showing his tools, right? So Lawrence, are you still with us?
So this is the garden shed. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is the garden shed, and we share these tools.
That's okay. Those are the moments that made me believe, no, I can't do it. That you need too many tools. I don't have even one of them. But I'm sorry, Lawrence, for the bad connection that we've been dealing with. But thank you so much for your perseverance, for keep showing the different views of your garden. We have see a very, very beautiful garden, even without you explaining to us, but we have seen everything. Thank you so much. And also thank you so much, everyone. So with that, we're going to wrap up today's discussion. And as we know, gardening has always been a very popular activity for people around the world. And this kind of hobbies even got boomed, during the pandemic because people need something to do, people need food to eat during the pandemic. And just as our guest shows today during the dialogue, that people love gardening for different reasons. Some of them take them as a psychological break, and some of them enjoy the freshness of food that it brings to the dining table, and some of them just enjoy this beautiful view of flowers that when they wake up, which is very close to their window. And I think these may be one of the best gifts that have been, given by nature to us, because it not only brings us the vegetables, the fruits that, come along with those, but also it brings us freshness and happiness throughout our lives. So thank you so much, everyone, for sharing with us your experiences and amazing stories, and of course, those beautiful flowers and vegetables. And big thank you to our followers for your attention. We have more to come next Saturday. So thank you and bye for now. Thank you so much, guys. It is amazing. Thank you. It's really amazing. Thank you. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye. Have a good one. Bye. Thank you.